Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? My peoples, where you at? Want to talk a little bit about the plane crash that happened last week on January 29th. This has been major news for the last 5 days or so now as of the recording of this video. And specifically, I want to talk about Donald Trump's incredibly disgusting reaction to it. Now, you may be wondering, well, why am I doing this video when we're facing the blitzkrieg from the fascists here? It's very easy to forget a story that happened just 5 days ago. And that's kind of why I want to talk about it, because I think it's worth remembering the horrible things that these guys do. It's worth spreading it around and showing it to your friends and your family and the people you care about, because it's important, I think, that we don't allow this kind of thing to get memory hold. Because what's ending up happening is that they're hitting us with so much bullshit, a tsunami of bullshit. So that's kind of what happened from the first Trump administration. It was just so much shit to keep track of that people just tune out. And I think it's really important for the safety of our democracy and the world that we don't allow this stuff to get memory hold, that we actually remember it and spread it around and keep ourselves informed. Plus the fact that this really, if anything, shows just what a delusional wacko Donald Trump actually is and how incompetent he actually is. And I think the best way that I can demonstrate that is just by showing the man himself and letting him talk about it. So this was a press conference that he did a couple of days ago, right after the plane crash in Washington, D.C. Quick recap, if you guys don't remember what happened. I mean, I know it's been only a few days, but you may be watching this video in the future sometime. Basically, at the airport in Washington, D.C., there was a mid-air collision between a military helicopter and a commercial airliner. And these types of collisions don't happen very often, which is kind of crazy when you realize how much just flying there is in the United States and how many airplanes are up in the sky at any given time. The fact that we don't have accidents like this very often is kind of amazing. I think the last time this kind of accident happened was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. But this one was pretty gnarly. 67 people died, and that's kind of crazy. It's a big deal because it's like, this is not supposed to happen. When things run right, these types of accidents don't happen, and that's why they're so rare. So the fact that there was this massive collision means somebody actually really screwed up. Donald Trump, being the carnival barking showman that he actually is, has to be at the center of everything. So let's listen to what the man has to say about the accident, which took the lives of 67 people.
Are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by...
All right. I know he just started, but let's just keep track. Okay, let's keep track. The reporter asked him, why did you blame DEI for this? Because Donald Trump very quickly came out after this whole thing happened, and he blamed this accident on diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what he blamed it on. And she just asked him there, why did you say that? And he said, it just could have happened. Right? Let's just rewind what he just said. I mean, I know it's only been 17 seconds, but I think it's important that we actually examine what this man says, that we can report it accurately, that we can talk to people about it accurately. So let's just start it again and just listen to what the man says. I know it's hard because he's a fucking imbecile, but let's continue.
Was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring, and what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard.
It just could have been. That's what he said. It just could have been. Not that it was. Not that we have any evidence for it. Just that it could have been. You notice that the people on Twitter, the cat turds and the, other people that follow Donald Trump's every fucking word, the Ian Miles Chongs and all those other fucking morons, you notice that they don't need any evidence because Donald Trump himself doesn't actually have any evidence. It doesn't fucking matter. They're just going to blame it on diversity. You know, when they blame things on DEI, they're blaming it on black people is what they're doing. So you just said it just could have been. All right. That right there, in and of itself, shows you the kind of the man Donald Trump is. He doesn't fucking care. He's just going to lie about everything. But let's continue. Let's let him talk a little bit longer.
Had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by psychological quality. And psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are...
He said you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological equality, which is meaningless. Like, what the fuck does he actually mean? Now, I know this is low-hanging fruit to try to actually examine what Donald Trump is actually saying and what he actually means. I know it's low-hanging fruit, and all of you at home right now are sitting there going, why are you even bothering to do this? This guy's like a dementia-ridden fucking coconut. But it's important. It's important that we do so because he is the president, because he's in charge, because this guy has his finger on the fucking button, because he can make fucking executive like orders and shit that affect the lives of millions and millions of people. That's why it's important. So we can't just be like, oh yeah, whatever, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, who cares? It's like, no, you have to care. Right? You have to care because he's the president. And so far, it's just babbling horseshit. It's only been 25 seconds, and already he's not making any sense.
Various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden. And Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite.
That's not true at all.
So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had an air...
You notice that he just blamed that on Biden. He just basically said that, yeah, Biden had low hiring standards, and that's why this happened. Of course, there's no actual real truth to that at all whatsoever. The air traffic controller wasn't black or a woman or diversity hire or anything like that. It actually turns out that the air traffic controller that was at the airport that was in charge when this accident happened was actually doing the job of two people. So what the air traffic controller was overworked and stressed out. And when people are doing too much work that they can't handle, the mistakes tend to get made, and that's what actually happened here. But you notice Donald Trump isn't talking about that. He's not talking about the fact that the day that he came in as president, he put on a hiring freeze, and that 90% of the airports that we have a shortage of air traffic controllers. They're understaffed at 90% of the airports in this country. He's not talking about any of that shit. He's immediately pivoting to blame Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden had nothing to do with this fucking shit. Joe Biden didn't freeze the fucking, hiring or anything like that, right? So it's really just all bullshit. You know, everything that happens that's bad when Donald Trump is president is going to be Joe Biden's fault, and anything that's good that happens, he's going to take credit for. Kind of par for the course when it comes to Trump, right?
You had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior. And that's what we're going to have. Yeah.
Someone who is psychologically superior. Like, what does that even mean? Psychologically superior. It really does seem like something he just pulled out of his ass. Something that he just made up. Psychologically superior. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I mean, he's talking about them being more intelligent, being more capable, being more competent. Nothing like that. Psychologically superior. It really is sort of like whenever Donald Trump talks, it's sort of like a 5-year-old kid who's trying to sound smart to impress his friends. That's really what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like somebody who's in like junior high school who's trying to hang out with like his big brother's friends and is trying to act all like cool and sophisticated and stuff so they'll like him and everything, and really they're just making fun of him. Whenever I hear Donald Trump talk, it's like he's such a fucking moron.
Mr. President, the situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is getting worse, even though President John Lorenzo has been mediating the conflict between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo because he wants to bring peace and stability. Mm-hmm. The situation is...
Look at Trump's face. He has no idea what this lady's even talking about.
really bad right now. I want to hear from Ms. President if you have any plan in the future to bring peace in the
Well, you're
Democratic
asking me a
Republic
question
of the
about
Congo.
Rwanda, and it is a very serious problem. I agree, but I don't think it's appropriate right now to talk about it. But it is a very serious problem.
Yeah, he doesn't think it's appropriate because he has no idea what the hell's even going on there. I doubt that he could even, like, pick out Rwanda on a fucking map. Seriously.
We don't even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families
They
to
are
hear you
a
blaming
group of
DEI
people that have
policies?
lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon in coordination with American.
Did you hear that? Hear what he just said? Oh, do you think that makes a difference? Oh, the names of the people, you think that makes a difference? Her question was, we don't even know the people who were killed yet. Why are you blaming Democrats and DEI? We don't even know who was killed, as in we don't know who the pilots were. We don't know who the people on the plane were. We don't know who was in charge there. We don't know who screwed up. It means that we don't know if the people that were involved were actually diversity hires or not. I.e., Donald Trump, you're talking out of your fucking ass. Why are you saying this bullshit when you don't know anything? Right? I mean, at the very least, if they knew that the pilot, for example, actually was a diversity hire, then maybe they could, maybe that argument might have some legs. Oh, well, this guy was hired when he wasn't qualified or whatever. But they can't even say that at this point because they didn't even know. When this press conference was held, they had no information about that whatsoever. He just made it up and said a bunch of shit on Twitter, or I guess Truth fucking Social, whatever his home brand fucking Twitter ripoff thing is. It was just like a reaction. Oh, this is obviously Biden's fault, and it's obviously a DEI problem. When there was zero evidence for that whatsoever. And I hope you'll notice that he just completely dodged this reporter's question. Her question was essentially, how do you know? And he's just not going to answer it. Let's rewind it a few seconds so that you can see how Donald Trump does not answer. Okay?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane? You think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families
They
to
are
hear you
a
blaming
group of
DEI
people that have
policies?
lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly,
That's
obviously,
not what
with
she
the
asked
military. But I think that's not a very smart question.
But are you
I'm
blaming-
surprised coming from you.
Are you blaming airlines?
That's not a smart question. I'm surprised. I.e., i.e., she basically called him out on his bullshit. And whenever somebody calls Donald Trump out on their bullshit, he says that they're not smart. You notice that? That's a not smart. Or else he'll say they're nasty. Oh, that's a nasty question. A nasty question is essentially any question that shows Donald Trump's a fucking moron. Right? Unbelievable. Oh, I'm surprised. Yeah, fuck you. When did we start putting up with politicians that say shit like this? When did that become a thing? Was it Donald Trump? I think it was. I think Donald Trump was the very first politician that ever just got away with treating people like this. Talking down to the press and stuff like that. They should be eviscerating his ass because of comments like this. And the press doesn't. The press plays ball with him because they're like capitulating to fucking fascism. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Back in 40 years ago, back in the 80s, Dan Quayle basically got knocked out of the presidential running in 1992 for spelling the word potato wrong. Like that, he spelled the word potato wrong, and then that was it. There was no chance of him getting elected to be president ever because of that. And now we've gone to that rigorous standard of like our presidents have to be the best and the brightest and the smartest to this fucking imbecile. How the fuck did that happen? I don't understand how the hell that happened. I don't know. Moving on.
Please.
Thank
Please.
you. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you for being here. Based on your analysis so far, do you have a sense of who was at fault? If it was the plane, the helicopter, air traffic control, and can you assure people that it is safe to fly in and out of D.C.?
Well, I've given you the analysis.
Yeah, there has been no analysis, but let's see what he says.
And the analysis was, it was based on vision. You had a lot of people that saw what was happening. You had some people that knew what was happening. There was some warnings, but the warnings were given very, very late. You know, those warnings were given very late. It was almost as they were given. A few seconds later, there was the crash. It should have been brought up earlier. But the people in the helicopter should have seen where they were going. I can't imagine people with...
Okay. No, really? The people in the helicopter should have seen where they were going. No, you don't say. Wow, what a brilliant fucking analysis. How can anybody think that this man is brilliant or smart, you know, or I'm a very stable genius or whatever? How can anybody take this fucking idiot seriously? Did you just listen to what he just said? She asked them, oh, based on your analysis, are we free, you know, is it safe to fly? People want, you know why she said that? You know why that reporter said that? Because people are scared and they want reassurances. They want reassurances that, hey, are our fucking airplanes going to start crashing into each other? Is there an actual problem? His job, one of the jobs of the president, is to assure the populace, right? To make sure that, no, we got everything under control, everything's cool. This is why whenever there's a crisis, people turn to the president. This is why, for example, after 9/11, George Bush's approval rating went up to 90%, like the next day. People, they made fun of George W. Bush. There were TV shows mocking George W. Bush. The South Park guys, they put out a show called That's My Bush to make fun of George W. Bush. The next day, 90%. Why? Because when there's a crisis, people want to be reassured. That's one of the things that the president is supposed to fucking do. How the fuck is Donald Trump reassuring people? Well, he should have opened his eyes. I feel really reassured now. Oh, gee, yeah. It's no wonder people are fucking terrified whenever this goddamn moron opens his fucking mouth. This is who's in charge right now. Are you surprised at how much shit is hitting the fan? It's embarrassing. It's so fucking embarrassing.
20/20 vision, not seeing, you know, what's happening up there. Again, they shouldn't have been at the same height. You're going in reverse.
They shouldn't have been at the same height. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's like a child. He should have had his eyes open. They shouldn't have been at the same height. Gee, thank you. How about you tell us what you're doing about it? How about that? What have you done? What went wrong? What have you done? What are you going to do about it? Assure us that flying is safe. How about that? I know that Republicans watch my channel. I know you guys watch my channel. Because I keep getting comments from you people telling me to fuck off. It happens all the time. I'm used to it by now. And I really, really sincerely want to ask this question. Why do you guys follow this fucking idiot? He's clearly an idiot. He is clearly a goddamn moron. Donald Trump is one step above that dude gibbering on the street fucking yelling about like black helicopters and shit. He's an idiot. Just listening to him talk for 5 seconds is proof enough that he's a goddamn moron. How does anybody listen to this shit and go, that's it? That's the president I'm voting for. That's the guy I'm going to destroy democracy for. I don't understand it.
First directions or sideway directions. Obviously, you want to be at different heights. I see it all the time
Obviously.
when I'm flying. You have planes going in the opposite. They're always lower. We're higher. Or so if somehow...
Thank you. Oh my god. Some of them are lower. Some of them are higher. Yeah, he's a real fucking expert on how, like, flying works, right? Well, you know, why don't we just fire all of the air traffic controllers in the country and just have Donald Trump do it? Obviously, he knows. Obviously, he can do the job. You know, some of you guys fly lower, some of you guys fly higher. Make sure you open your eyes. Make sure you look where you're going. Gee, thanks, Donald Trump. Oh, it's all so fucking simple. He has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea how the government works. He has no idea how the real fucking life works. At all. He spent his entire life as a fucking rich kid, just partying and getting everything that he fucking wants. And every time he fucked up, he got out of it because he has money. He has no clue how to run anything. He's got no clue how to actually manage people. He's got no clue how to actually do anything or how anything actually works. There's always been somebody. You know what it reminds me of? Do you guys remember, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but fucking I don't care, it's my video. Do you remember back during the Trump's first term, there was, and this was just a small thing, but it stuck in my mind. There was a short video of him getting out of an airplane and it's raining and he's got an umbrella and he's trying to close the umbrella and he can't close it. And then he gives up and just throws it on the ground and then keeps walking. That's the kind of thing that only a rich person does. A normal, ordinary person who has to actually work for a living just doesn't toss an umbrella because it doesn't work. Because you had to buy that umbrella. You had to pay good, hard-earned money for that umbrella. You're not going to just throw it away. Even if you're not, like, poor. Even if you're just, you know, normal, middle-class kind of thing. You're not going to just toss something like that works fine how it is. At the very least, you'll buy another one first. Not Donald Trump. Donald Trump just got frustrated with it, said fuck it, threw it away. Why? Because things like that don't matter to him. Because his entire life, every time he's wanted something, he's just got it because he's been rich. And every time something fucked up, he got rid of it because he's rich. And that includes people, because every time he didn't get what he wanted from a person, he just got rid of them because he's rich. And there's always somebody else hanging around wanting to suck his fucking dick or whatever because he's rich and they want his money. And that's how he treats governing. And that's why his companies keep fucking failing. That's why he fucking, like, bankrupted, like, fucking 4 casinos at once. That's why everything this guy touches falls apart. Because he's rich, and he's been rich his entire life, and he doesn't actually give a fuck. Okay, I know we're not even halfway through it, so let's just listen a little bit more before I rant a little longer.
There's a screw-up. There's not going to be a tragedy. It'll be close, but, you know, there's never going to be a tragedy if you're at a different elevation. For whatever reason, they were at the same elevation. And also,
it's embarrassing.
From the American Airlines standard, he's along the track that every plane is along. You say, what was a helicopter doing in that track? It's very sad. But visually, somebody should have been able to see and taken that helicopter out of play. And they should have been at a different height.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. He literally had nothing to say there. Everything that he just said, like, literally nothing added to the conversation. It didn't add any information. It didn't, like, inform us about anything that we didn't know before. It was just like some crazy old man ranting about shit that he has no clue about. This is the goddamn president. I mean, if it was your grandpa doing this, or your fucking crazy uncle or whatever, ranting about a bunch of shit that he doesn't know about, that's one thing, right? But Donald Trump isn't your grandpa, or your crazy uncle, or the fucking lunatic at the bar screaming about fucking, you know, some dumbass conspiracy or something. He's the president. This should scare the shit out of you, man. It should scare the shit out of everybody.
Thank you, sir. You mentioned the Russians that were on board that plane. What other nationalities were on board that passenger
There
jet?
were a couple of others. We're going to be announcing it in about an hour.
Yeah, he doesn't
We have
know.
some very specific information. We're calling the countries. We've spoken to most of them, but there were
making
some
this all
other
up.
countries represented.
He didn't know anything at all right there. You know why? Because if he knew, he would have said it. Okay? Obviously, he doesn't fucking know.
Spoken to President Putin?
I have not, no.
Mr. President,
Not about this.
an executive order you say will restore aviation safety.
Right.
This crash happened after that. Was the executive order successful, and what more needs to change to keep people safe?
Well, you know, we issued it 3 days ago, and we're in the process of making those changes. This is something that should have been done a long time ago. Actually, my original order should have never been changed, and I think maybe you wouldn't have had this problem. Maybe.
Why? We don't know who was in charge, so how can you say that? The very first question he answered here, he admitted that he doesn't know. The first lady who asked him, why did you blame this on Biden and DEI? He said, it just could have been. So he doesn't actually know. So why did he just say that, oh, this would have prevented my original order, to get rid of DEI would have prevented this? How does he fucking know? He doesn't. He's making it up as he goes along. He lied right there. He lies so casually to people. I think that's what's really important and really insidious about Donald Trump, is that he can just lie on a whim like that. Just so casually. He can just make up some bullshit and just lie about it, and it doesn't even bother him whatsoever. It's then he just instantly fucking believes it, and we should all instantly believe it too. And millions of people in the country do instantly fucking believe it because he's the goddamn president, and he's like the leader of their fucking ridiculous cult or whatever. That's what's so insidious about this fucking guy. And no one in the crowd here, you notice, is actually calling him on it. He lied like 6 times in the last fucking 5 minutes. And no one has called him out on it at all. Except for that one reporter there that Donald Trump replied back and said, that's, what did he call her? Oh, that's a bad question or whatever. And I'm surprised at you, is what he said. That's the only person here so far who's even remotely tried to call him out on his bullshit. Everybody else here is just asking questions like he's a normal fucking president. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, please, go
Yes,
ahead.
thank you. We see like everyday life that very often those diversity hires cause sometimes issues, as you just mentioned. So what
No, they
plan
don't.
do you have? Are we going to see some fire? Are you going to fire some of those diversity hire in the federal government? What's plan do you have?
I would say
Did you notice that reporter had to basically frame his question in such a way that did not offend Donald Trump? Did you just catch what happened? Okay. There's a reporter who is basically, from the sound of his voice, I would say is probably Latino. And the way he framed his question was that, oh, some of these diversity hires cause problems. Are you going to fire them? What's the actual question that he just said? The actual question is, are you going to fire people based on their race? That was the actual question. He had to frame it in that way that made Donald Trump look good, so Donald Trump wouldn't get mad at him. I don't even think Donald Trump caught that. I don't even think he caught that. I mean, obviously, I really don't think he was keyed into this, because I'm pretty sure that people manipulate him like that in that way all the time. It's kind of crazy if a reporter can manipulate Donald Trump like that. Think about Vladimir Putin, right? Or Xi Jinping, or fucking somebody like that. Somebody out there who's world leader. Think about them and the ways that they fucking manipulate Trump.
the answer is yes. If we find that people aren't mentally competent, you see the language. The language is put out by them. And if you see that, I'm not going to bore you by reading it again, but these are not people that should be doing this particular job. They'd be very good for certain jobs, but not people that should be doing this particular job.
Why? Tell us why. Why, number one? Why? Why can't minorities be air traffic controllers? What's the problem? Of course, he's not going to actually elaborate on that. He didn't pick it up, though. He didn't pick up how that reporter just totally fucking manipulated him. It's God, the guy's such a fucking idiot.
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have...
Okay. So, pretty sure Trump is either going to call this guy nasty or say that this is a bad question or something like that. So far, in this whole thing, this is the only other reporter who's actually tried to call Donald Trump out on this. Let's see what he says.
I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense. Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this.
Did you catch it? Donald Trump's little barb back. Oh, apparently I have common sense and other people don't. So he has no actual proof at all. No actual proof, no actual evidence. We don't. So he's admitting right now he doesn't know who actually was in charge. He doesn't know if they were a diversity hire. He doesn't know anything. It's just his common sense tells him that it was the fault of women and black people, and it was their fault that this plane crashed. See, this is all it takes. Every single fucking dumb shit asshole on Twitter now is agreeing with his ass. It's common sense that it's diversity that makes plane crashes. It's common sense that black people can't be air traffic controllers. It's common sense that women can't be airplane pilots. How are we allowing somebody like this to be in charge of the most powerful country in the fucking world? How did this happen? Why are people out there supporting this man? I know you people are out there. I know you watch my videos. Why are you supporting this fucking guy? For what he just said. If you went to work, let's say you're at work, right? I don't know what you do. Whoever you are watching this, let's imagine that you work in an office or something, and your boss summons you in to talk to you because you fucked something up. And you tried to give an answer like Donald Trump just said. Like, let's say, your boss comes in and say, hey, why did this happen? This got all fucked up. The client got mad. What happened? Why did you do the thing that you did? And you just said, because I have common sense. Do you think your boss is going to be like, oh, okay, well, obviously it's common sense? Or do you think your boss is going to fire your ass right there and now? Which one would you do? Remember, Donald Trump works for us. All right. We don't work for him. He works for us. Would you allow anybody to give you that kind of answer and not face repercussions? Why do you think this man is smart? MAGA people, answer me. Why do you think he's smart? He's bullshitting his way through this entire fucking thing. The whole time that he's been answering questions, he has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Why do you think he's so smart? I don't get it.
Major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions.
He has no clue what he's talking about.
You're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have. But they didn't build the systems properly.
Yeah, I knew he had to throw something in there like that every single time he fucking talks to. He has to bring up some fucking, reference to how the election was stolen. Oh, we had an election that didn't work the way it was supposed to. You mean, the fact that you fucking lost? He still can't say it. You notice that? It's been 4 years, and he won the last election. He still can't admit that he fucking lost. Right? He still can't admit it. Why is he bringing that shit up now? What does this plane crash have to do with him losing the fucking 2020 election? Absolutely nothing. Why did he bring it up? It just blows me away. I don't get it.
They spent a lot of money renovating a system, spending much more money than they would have spent if they bought a new system for air traffic controllers, meaning the computerized systems. There are certain companies that do a very good job. They didn't use those companies. They used companies that should not have been doing it. No, I think it's very important to understand that for some jobs, and not only this, but air traffic controllers, they have to be at the highest level of genius.
The highest level of genius. So what he's implying is that black people and women, but let's be real, folks. What he really means is black people can't be the highest level of genius. That's what he's talking about, because DEI is essentially another way of saying the N-word. That's what it is for conservatives. That's what it means. So he's basically saying, oh, we need smart people in there. We can't have diversity hires. Which is like, well, how come someone who's a diversity hire isn't smart enough? How do you know? You don't get a job. See, okay, this is something that I want to emphasize, that everybody out there, can we agree with this, right? Even if you are a diversity hire, because that is a thing. Being a diversity hire actually is a thing. Do you get the job if you're not qualified? Yes or no? If you were to talk to a conservative, they would say yes. But in real life, anyone who's actually ever worked anywhere for a company that does diversity hires will tell you that no, that's not the case. They don't just hire somebody because they're black or a woman or gay or a minority or, you know, Latino or whatever. Because if you do that, you will go out of business pretty quickly. If you're just hiring somebody because of their race and not because of their qualifications, you will lose money. That's what will happen. So no, that's not what diversity hiring is all about. That's not what DEI is all about. DEI is actually about recruiting people from certain ethnic and racial backgrounds in order to diversify your workforce so that you actually have a healthier workforce. See, it's actually not healthy for your company to have everybody be from the same background, to have everybody be from the same socioeconomic background, the same racial background, the same religious background. That's not a good thing because you end up having blind spots. You know, we're almost at the end of the video, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about why diversity hiring is actually good for capitalism, okay? Let's say you own a company and you sell comic books, for example, and every single person who works for your company selling comics is a white Anglo-Saxon male who's also a conservative Christian. Then you're only basically seeing the world through a certain lens. So your comics aren't going to appeal to anybody who isn't from that demographic. And you end up losing money because there's entire other demographics out there. Everybody else who isn't a white conservative Anglo-Saxon Christian male, your comics aren't going to appeal to them because you're writing for a certain audience, because your entire company is staffed by essentially people with the same fucking background. So even when you try to appeal to other people of different ethnic and social religious, economic and religious backgrounds, you may not actually succeed because you don't know anything about them. You don't know the kinds of stories that they like. You don't know the lived experience that those people have. And so when you try to appeal to them, it comes off as bullshit pandering. Not so if you actually hire some of those people so that they can tailor your product to this demographic. Just an example of how diversity hiring is actually good, especially if you're a capitalist. So you don't want everybody to be exactly the same in your workforce. I mean, and I would say that's even more important when it comes to government jobs, things like policing, working in a regulatory agency, stuff like that. That's what makes the government work for the actual people and not appeal to just the rich people like Donald Trump, when it actually takes our concerns into account. I think we can turn this off. I think we've gotten everything we need out of Donald Trump here. But I just want to emphasize here how completely insane Donald Trump is. And I'm going to say this one last time before we end here. To any of my MAGA friends out there who watch my videos and who think I'm some kind of deranged commie or whatever, I just want to ask you one more time. Why do you trust this man so much? Why do you believe everything he says? Why do you think that he's a genius when it's so incredibly blatantly obvious that he isn't? Imagine that press conference we just watched. Imagine that was Barack Obama saying the exact same words, okay? Take the exact same words that Trump just said and imagine Obama was saying them. What would you be saying to me right now? You'd be saying that Obama's off his rocker, that he's obviously deranged, that he's maybe got early onset dementia, Alzheimer's or whatever. That's what you'd be fucking saying to me right now. Don't lie and say you wouldn't because you would. Because it's done, but for some reason it's okay when it's Donald Trump. Why? Why are you people so willing to turn your fucking brains off for this obvious fucking charlatan? For someone who obviously doesn't know what he's doing. For somebody who's obviously fucking just the most phony fucking person ever. The most phony, vindictive idiot. Asshole fucking rich piece of shit that you could have. I mean, goddamn. How can anybody take this shit seriously? Is it any fucking wonder that we're like the laughing stock of the world right now? It's only been a week and a half since this fucking guy took power. And we're the laughing stock. He's turned us into a laughing stock. Right? Canada and Mexico are tromping all over his fucking ass with his stupid fucking tariffs. China is laughing at him. Russia is telling him to go fuck off, you know? I thought he was supposed to end the war in 24 hours. What happened to that shit? Like, they're laughing at us. They're laughing and they're scared because he's an idiot, but he's in charge of the most powerful fucking military in the goddamn world. And as he makes threats against Canada and Panama and Mexico and shit, please just answer it. Answer it for me. MAGA people, answer for me. Why? Why do you people turn your brains off when it comes to Donald Trump? When it's so obvious that he's a goddamn idiot. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe it has, you know what, I really think it has something to do with religion. I really do. I really think that there's a sunk cost fallacy going on, and that a lot of MAGA people know that he's a fucking idiot, but they've invested so much of their personal like lives into this like poor excuse for a fucking movement, and now they think they're winning because he got reelected. And it's like, dude, you guys don't understand. He's gonna fuck everything up if it keeps going the way it's going. If he puts tariffs in and all this other shit, you know, the tariffs, they've delayed them for a month or whatever. If that shit happens, we're looking at a fucking depression. He's gonna fuck everything up. I just don't understand, dude. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got, folks. We most definitely will be back again because Donald Trump is gonna fuck something else up. And, you know, I'm trying to not make this channel all about Trump. All right, I'm trying not to do that. I want to talk about other shit besides Donald Trump. But it's important for us to make sure that we don't lose track of the crazy fucking things this crazy man does. All right, it's important for us. We need to make sure that these things don't get, like I said, like these things don't get memory hold. That we actually remember and spread this stuff around so that people know what kind of lunatic we're actually dealing with. That's the only way we're going to actually get through the next 4 years without this country turning into a fucking fascist hellhole. Anyway, that's all I got, folks. You guys stay cool, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. Hello, folks. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.